Okay, so we're going to be looking at elimination day 2, and here is the problem that we have. It says consider the following linear system. 3k plus 15m equals 15, and the second is negative k minus m equals negative 1. If you add or subtract equations, will a variable be eliminated? So from yesterday's lesson, we were always looking at the number in front of the variables. So again here, just to remind you that when there's no number in front of a variable, it means 1. So that's saying negative 1k and negative 1m. So if I look at any of the k coefficients here, I have a 3 and a 1. Those are not the same. Then I can look here at the 15m and negative 1m. Are any of those the same? No, they are not. So right now we cannot use elimination right now. What we can do with this is we can manipulate this. And you're going to see how we're going to manipulate this with our first example here. So again, I'm just going to have to go back and forth here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite these equations. So let's see. I have here 3k. Let's put this into a dual screen. 3k plus 15m equals 15. And the second equation is negative k minus m equals negative 1. Okay, those are my two systems. And again, if you remember our first step from yesterday, rewrite the system so like terms are aligned. So I have my k's on top of each other, I have my m's on top of each other, and I have my constants on top of each other. So here it says determine which variable you will eliminate. Okay, there's none directly that I can eliminate, so what I'm going to have to do is I get to pick. So I am going to pick, if I get a highlighter up, I'm going to pick the m's. I want to get rid of the m's here. So I know I can't do it right now because they're not the same, so I'm going to write here m. I want to eliminate m. So when I add or subtract these equations, I'm going to get 0 for m. So it says here, as my next step, multiply if necessary to make elimination possible. So what I'm going to do is this is a 15 here. So I'm going to keep my top equation the same, 3k plus 15 is equal to 15. Oops, I forgot the m. Okay, now what I have to do here is I want to eliminate this m, the m's, so that means I need a 15 right here. So I have to take this whole equation and I need to multiply that by 15. So I'm going to write that here. I'm going to say, okay, 15 times everything times negative k minus m equals negative 1. So my green equation stays the same. I need to now use the distributive property to multiply that 15 into everything, both on the left-hand side of the equal sign and the right-hand side of the equal sign. So this becomes negative 15k minus 15m is equal to negative 15. So what I can do next is I'm going to take my first equation, 3k plus 15 equals, oops, I forgot the m again, equals 15. And then I'm going to take my new equation, the one that I multiplied by 15, I'm going to write it here. 15k minus 15m equals negative 15. Now after you multiply the equation by 1, or sorry, in this case by 15, we can now be able to eliminate a variable. So how am I going to do that? Again, I can look here. These are here. Those are the same coefficient. So I now need to figure out, will I add these equations together or am I going to subtract these equations? So the signs are different because one says positive 15, the other one says negative 15. So when I look at that, different means I add them together. So I take 3k, subtract 15k. That gives me negative 12k. Positive 15 plus negative 15 just gives me 0. And 15 plus negative 15 also gives me 0. So in my final step here, I have to divide both sides. I have to divide both sides by negative 12. So I'm left with k is equal to 0. Okay, so I now know k is equal to 0. So now I need to take my answer, k equals 0, and I pick any equation, the top one or the bottom one. I'm going to pick the top one. So 3k plus 15m equals 15. And in my next step, I'm going to substitute 0 in for k. So it becomes 3 bracket 0 plus 15m equals 15. I can simplify this. 3 times 0 just gives me 0, so I don't need to write anything. Is 15m is equal to 15. Divide both sides by 15, and we get m is equal to 1. And I can write my solution. We usually do it in alphabetical order, so this isn't xy, but this is km. K comes before m, so it's 0, 1 is my point of intersection. Okay, the next example here, I have my two systems. So I'm going to rewrite the system so like terms are aligned. So if I were to write my two systems, 4x plus 9y equals 9. My x's are first, my y's are second, my constants are third. This follows the exact same format. X minus 3y equals negative 6. Determine which variable you will eliminate. Okay, well right now I do not have a variable that I can eliminate. None of these numbers are the same. This is a 4, this is a 1, this is a 9, this is a 3, and not. So I can't do that. So I'm going to pick here. There's no wrong answer for this, but I'm going to pick, I'm going to do a little bit of a trickier one here and pick y. So it says here, multiply if necessary to make elimination possible. My first equation is going to stay the same. So I'm going to write 4x plus 9y equals 9. My second equation here, I want to eliminate y, so I have to make this 3 become a 9. Well, how can I do that? I can do 3 times 3 gives me 9, which means I'm going to take this 3 and I'm going to multiply it by everything inside that equation. So when I multiply that 3 in, I will get 3x minus 9y equals negative 18. So now I write my two equations. I'll have my blue equation, which I didn't touch, 4x plus 9y equals 9. And I have my red equation, 3x minus 9y equals negative 18. Now I have to look here. What can I do Here are my variables that I'm eliminating. What are the signs? One is positive, one is negative. So when they are different, what do I have to do? I have to add the two equations together. 4 plus 3 gives me 7x. 9 plus negative 9 gives me 0. 9 plus negative 18 gives me negative 9. Okay, and then in this next example, I'm going to divide by 7. Divide by 7. Okay, so even though that's a fraction, that is okay. I still have here x is equal to negative 9 over 7. So what do I have to do? I have to take this equation and substitute it into another one. So I'm going to take again I'm actually going to substitute this into my second equation. So I'm going to write x equals negative 9 over 7. I write my next equation, which is x minus 3y equals negative 6. When I plug that in, I get negative 9 over 7 minus 3y equals negative 6. Now, I have a fraction. That's okay if I have a fraction. What does that mean? It means I multiply everything by my denominator. Multiply by 7, multiply by 7, multiply by 7. So I'm going to continue this up here. So these 7's cancel out, so I'm left with negative 9. These pieces here, negative 7 times 3y gives me negative 21y is equal to negative 42. Negative 6 times 7. So on my next line here, I can take that 9 and bring it over, so it becomes negative 21y equals negative 42 plus 9. So I have negative 21y over negative 33. Divide by negative 21, divide by negative 21. And I'm left with, this isn't a very nice one, but I'm left with y is equal to two negatives. These two negatives cancel out to be a positive, so positive 33 over 21. Now that can actually be reduced to 11 over 7. So my point of intersection here is negative 9 over 7 and 11 over 7. That's a little bit of a tricky one because you are given a fraction, but we know how to deal with fractions, and that was through multiplying the denominator, or multiplying everything by the denominator. Now again here I chose the second equation to substitute that in for. You could have substituted it in for the first one. I chose the second one because this had a 1 in front of it, so it was just a little bit easier to work with, but either one will work. The next equation here, again, my first step is I need to rewrite the system so like terms are aligned. This first equation is good. It goes x, then y, equal sign, and then the constant. This one here, if I look, I need my x term to go first, so I need to move that over here. So if I move that over, that positive 9 over it becomes negative 9x plus 5y is equal to 16. Okay, my next step here is I need to determine which variable I'm going to eliminate. You can eliminate either one, as long as you remember how to make the numbers the same. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply this first equation because I can actually eliminate x. Fairly easy. What I would have to do there is just multiply one equation by 3. So I'm going to eliminate x. I'm going to take 3 and multiply it by negative 3x plus 7y is equal to negative 16. Because how do I want that? I want to figure out what number these two pieces here have in common. If I multiply negative 3 by positive 3, I will actually get negative 9x plus 21y is equal to 48. Negative 48. And my second equation stays the same. Negative 9x plus 5y is equal to 16. So I write these two equations out in this box. Negative 9x plus 21y equals negative 48. I then write my blue equation, negative 9x plus 5y is equal to 16. Now, I look here, which variable can I eliminate? I can eliminate the 9. So what do I have to do? The top 9 is negative, the bottom 9 is negative, so the signs are the same. If they're the same, I have to subtract. So negative 9 subtract negative 9 gives me 0, nothing. That's what I wanted to eliminate. 21 minus 5 gives me 16y. I can take negative 48, subtract 16, gives me negative 64. So what's my next step? I have to divide by 16, and I get y is equal to negative 4. Similarly to yesterday, I write this out, y equals negative 4. I can pick either equation. I'm going to pick the top one. Negative 3x plus 7y equals negative 16. On my next line, I take that 4 and substitute it in for y, so it becomes negative 3x plus 7 times negative 4 equals negative 16. I can then simplify this, so it becomes negative 3x minus 28 equals negative 16. And I come up here, take that 28 over, so it becomes negative 3x equals negative 16 plus 28. That's negative 3x equals 12. Divide both sides by negative 3. And I get negative 4. So my point of intersection is negative 4, negative 4. Okay, my next step is that I'm going to, or what your next step is you are going to work on 2 questions for homework from the worksheet that I'm going to give you. That would be questions number 1 and question number 2 you are going to complete, plus any questions that you did not finish already today.